Yeah, how's it going today? So we're looking at all the carnage from the hailstorm the other day. We had this weird hailstorm. It was very small, the hail was, and it rained like hell too. So half of this, I think, is from the rain just beating the hell out of the trees. And there's a lot of leaves out here, and it kind of looks like the neighborhood, kind of like a salad bar, blew up. What's weird is I looked at this on the radar while it was happening and you couldn't hardly see anything. It was just this little tiny red dot. So it was very small and moved across town, and we actually kind of got off with a little warning. I didn't get any car dings and any branches broke off, but to the south of me, they got some pretty nasty damage not too far away, so I don't know. I guess we'll call it good. Well, anyway. We're not over here to talk about the weather. So this is kind of the tail end of me putting something back together, and as soon as I get it back together, we'll show you what's going on here. Have a little trip up to the hardware store. Apparently whoever owned this first, because it's too lazy to put all the screws back in. Actually, for now, we'll just... What is there? 6 on the bottom and a couple on each side. Damn hot out here today. If you need some warm weather, for some of you who watch my channel, it's probably getting close to the tail end of winter. If you need some warm weather ahead of time, let me know. I'll box it up and send it to you. It's damn hot out here. Fastener place to buy some fasteners. I was kind of being lazy today. I just went to the home center and bought them. Usually I buy small screws in the huge boxes. They're way cheaper. A little bag like that, it's got 16 screws. It's $1, which doesn't sound like it's going to break the bank, but at the rate I go through little sheet metal screws, I can get a huge box of 500 for $2 or $3. Well, you know, multiply 16 times whatever that number is, and you'll find out real quick that if you use a lot of small sheet metal screws, it pays real quick. The other thing it does is it beats having to run around. You kind of save money in a bunch of different ways. Work on your projects at your leisure. You know, not too many hardware stores are open at 1 in the morning. There are days that I just don't sleep worth a damn. It's some leftover stuff from years ago, and I've just learned over the years that it's just easier to get up and do something and be quiet about it, which is easy to do. That way you don't wake up the rest of the house, as opposed to laying in bed and trying to figure out how to fall asleep. Just not worth it. And yeah, I'm a little crabby in the morning, but I'm a lot less so than laying in bed trying to go to sleep. Okay, so we got here my fine little YouTube friends. This is a Hallicrafters SX 100. And I got this the other day. I really don't have too much in it. I've done a little work, but nothing major. And I got a little bit more work to do. Actually, I probably want to paint those screws. That would be easy enough to do, but the SX100 is a pretty nice machine. It's dual conversion, unlike most of the Hallicrafters. It's something I haven't figured out quite yet, but I'll get around to it. To set the mechanical 0 on that meter, you're going to have to remove that little badging. And I'm not sure if it just snaps in there or if it's screwed in there. It almost looks like it's screwed in there. Yeah, we'll worry about it later. So we have the basic shortwave radio stuff, nothing super special. This one has a few incorrect knobs. There's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 incorrect knobs. And I have a theory about that, and that theory is these knobs are held on with what's called the Bristol set screw, which is kind of almost like a Torx looking set screw. Bristol set screws are popular in avionics. You don't see too many of them out in the real world. I've got a Bristol set of Bristol set of wrenches. They look like Allen wrenches. I can't even find the things. I've used them one time, and they're in some toolbox somewhere. And I just said to hell with it, ordered a new set. That set I had was pretty shaky. Anyway, what it looks like has happened is I think somebody needed to take the face off of this, and they couldn't get the set screws to come off, so they butchered them off of there. And when they did, so I think they probably pulled some of these knobs, and the knobs got broke. And interestingly enough, on a pretty popular website, I saw that I believe it's the webmaster or whoever takes care of the website had a SX100, and they were saying that they machined down some Allen screws to make a square fitting for those screws. Those screws aren't square. They're kind of a fluted type mechanism. I'll show you one when we get the new set. I believe that's what's happened. I don't think I've ever seen a square set screw. So we'll let that go. So we have basic controls. There's an antenna match and sensitivity. The band selector, there's only 4 bands. This is a typical shortwave radio, but there's a little hole in the universe here because of the dual conversion between the upper end of kind of the first band around 1.5 megahertz, and then there's a little quantum jump there to 1.8 megahertz, and that 1.6, 1.7 is where the IF is in the machine, for the second IF. The volume control, and then there's a snappy little automatic voltage, or automatic volume control. There's a noise limiter, AM and sideband or CW. It just turns on the BFO. There's kind of a bandpass filter for the audio, and it doesn't use any crystal filtering. It uses some RC filtering, which is all glumped up on that control in the back. I'll have to get in there, and I have to take this face off to do it. There's quite a few caps in there. This thing has quite a big load of molded paper caps. They look a little bit like the bumblebee cap. There actually are 2 bumblebee caps in here that I chased away. The rest of them are kind of these pink molded paper caps. They were manufactured by Cornell Dubler. Pitch control from the BFO. And the response filter over here is, I think I told you that was response filter. That's not too, they call it the selectivity. Got the power switch, upper and lower sideband, and then they call it treble cut, and then normal. There's a standby switch and the calibrator. This actually has a crystal calibrator in it. It also has a kind of a audio notch filter, or well, it's not audio. It's at the IF level. The depth of notch and the frequency of the notch are controlled here. And it's got a pretty good sized meter. That baby's about as big as the palm of your hand, which is kind of nice. It's got kind of a nice look to it. It could be a little better shape. This particular machine is missing a few of the tube shields and some other dumb stuff. Somebody's been in it monkeying around. When I got it, the dial cord for the band spreader worked, and after a few movements it just fell apart. It's actually, on this machine, it's a cable, a little bitty metal cable, and And I don't think that's correct. I think it actually has a cord. I think that's probably what got replaced when somebody tore the face of this off. On the back is an actual, the mate to the PL259. Was that the SO234 or something like that. That wasn't installed at the factory, but a hole was punched at the factory. So if you want to put a kind of a more modern coax connector on there, you can. It has a traditional balanced Hallicrafter audio connector. There's also a kind of an 8-pin connector for bringing the power supply out and doing some other things. If you were going to run this with a transmitter, you can kind of interlock the two and work with it that way. Other than that, there's not a lot to see. It's just got about, I think there's 14 tubes. It's a little busy, but not bad. And it's not real tight in there. There are a few components. There's a kind of an apron. This black shroud or face is kind of a scutchman or an apron, and it hangs over the chassis a little bit. So there's a few components tucked underneath that I'll have to take this off also and work on that. So I'm kind of gonna get a twofer when I take that face off. The rest of this stuff is just basic nuts and bolts. I don't know, it'll be fun to play with. I've actually played with it a tiny bit, but I want to kind of get it cleaned up a little bit more before I turn it loose and give it a fighting chance. And like I said, there's a couple caps in there that I had to replace. There's some cracked ones. I've got another video of me jacking around with those capacitors. Nothing spectacular. If you want to see it, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just throw it in the bin. Okie dokie. Well, that's kind of the, I don't know, phase one. Just, what we got going on and what I'm doing. Who knows? Maybe another mad project will happen along the way. Anyway, take it easy. Have a groovy day.